Welcome back to Sunday Night in America. Will President Biden run for re-election? Are Democrats quietly preparing for Plan B? Meanwhile, another Republican candidate launched his presidential campaign. Vivek Ramaswamy, a successful businessman and author. Former Vice President Mike Pence is giving it what he calls prayerful consideration, while Senator Tim Scott gave his vision for America's future in Iowa this week. Joining us now is former Biden campaign surrogate Kevin Walling and Fox News contributor Charlie Hurt. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us. I'm going to do what I always try to do, which is give equal time to both.
Some of these folks have to simply be running just to pad their bank accounts. It has to be. It has to be. Who was that first guy that they showed? I've seen his face before, but the successful business guy, like, who are these folks? You know, like, oh man, the only people. Well, let me let them speak, and I'll give my thoughts a little bit later.
All right, Kevin, I'm going to start with you to flash my bipartisan skills. What are the chances the president opts not to run? And do you really think he's giving it some thought?
I do. I honestly do, Trey. Thanks for having me. I think this president is a pretty deliberative guy. He's going to talk it over with Dr. Biden, with his family. But all indications are that he's running for re-election. I saw him just last month. I think he's fired up for this campaign. I think you're seeing a White House that is now emphasizing all the arduous things that he's doing, just the length of the train ride into Kyiv, for example, on President's Day, a 10-hour trip, round trip, describing in detail that this president is up for it. They released his most recent White House physical exam the week before. So again, they are preparing this campaign and waiting for him to announce, likely in April by most indications.
Please, Joe, run, please.
Charlie Hurt, it's great to see you again. I guess we now have a couple of folks on the GOP side, 3 announced candidates.
President Biden's job performance on Ukraine disapprove. So he's basically underwater in everything except for the spy balloon and the Russia situation. And those are even close. Those are at 49. Which, from what I've been seeing, I feel like this number is a little higher than that. From what I've personally been seeing on social media. And I told you guys this. I read through the comments, on certain, posts, on leftist posts, and I feel like that number might be a little higher than that. Now, the spy balloon, I feel like people didn't really care too much. Like, people that aren't in the know didn't really care too much about it. That's why that number is a bit lower. But, I mean, literally everything else. National security, 51. Foreign policy, 52. Opioid epidemic, 56. Gun, 60. Which, yeah. Immigration, 61, which, ooh. And the crazy thing about immigration is I guarantee you, if there was a study that came out that said that all of these immigrants coming across the border were actually going to vote Republican, I guarantee you that border would be closed in an instant. In an instant. Immediately. I would be willing to make a bet on that one. A bet. Because the bet right now is that most of them are going to vote Democrat. That is why Joe and this administration don't really care about closing that border. They want to keep the floodgates wide open. Let them come open. Let everybody stream in, and then let everybody get citizenship, and let every single one of them vote. Watch. Just saying.
Who do you think is next, and when is too late to jump in? What should be their timetable, their schedule?
Well, I think without a doubt we're going to start seeing a lot more people get in, and as you mentioned Mike Pence and someone like Tim Scott, I think is a great addition to the field, and I think we'll probably see a lot more. Mike Pompeo, for example, comes to mind. But I think that, and by the way, I think it's going to be a really good, wonderful, terrific battle of ideas. I think that it's amazing to sit back and realize how far sort of the Republican Party has been reshaped over the last couple of years, I think, to a much stronger, more responsive party to the base of its voters. So I think it's going to be a really interesting fight. I think
more great news for Uncle Trump. Look at that, baby. Look at it. Ain't it beautiful? Ain't it lovely? Isn't she wonderful? If you know, you know. Okay, 43% amongst Republican primary voters. 43. Excuse me. Jeez. DeSantis is at 28. Nobody else has a shot. Nobody else. Nikki Haley, Pence, Abbott, Liz. Oh my goodness. Who are these 2% of folks? Who are you? Raise your hand. Raise your mother-loving hand. Who are these 2% of folks? I need to know. I need to know. And yeah, I mean, what? I don't even know who some of these people are. Larry Hogan, Francis. I feel like I've seen this name before. Asa Hutchinson. 0%. Goodness gracious. Even if you account for this 4.5%, like you take that away, I mean, he's still in the lead. Still in the lead. Even if you take 4.5% away from Trump and give it to DeSantis, he's still in the lead. So my question is, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? I'm just saying, you know, like it's Trump and it's DeSantis. And really, we should just rally behind Trump. And the thing about this is, if all Republicans just rallied behind Trump, we would win in a landslide. A landslide. If all of these establishment Republicans, you know, the Liz Cheneys and, you know, the Rhinos and all, you know, Mitch McConnells and everybody else, if everybody just got behind the person that the people want. They keep saying, we are for the people. No, you are not, because the people have spoken. Time and time again, the people have spoken and said, we want Uncle Trump. And yet the establishment keeps saying, no. So the next time Mitch or any one of these establishment guys or gals says we're for the people, we're going to start calling them out and saying, no, you're not, because the people have spoken and the people said, we want Uncle Trump. Plain and simple. That's who we want. We don't want DeSantis. Not yet. We don't want Nikki Haley. We don't want Pence. We don't want Abbott. We damn sure don't want Liz Cheney. We don't want Kristi Noem, Mike Pompeo, Tim Scott, you know, Glenn Youngkin, Chris Christie, Larry Hogan. We don't want any of these folks. And I've even asked you guys. I made a poll. Y'all said Uncle Trump overwhelmingly. We checked out plenty of videos where Uncle Trump has been the one at the top every single time. Every single time. The fact that, like I said before, the fact that there's so much pushback against Uncle Trump lets me know that's exactly who I want. That's exactly who I want to be in office. Why are y'all fighting me so hard? Why are y'all fighting the people so hard to keep him out? What is going on? What are you afraid of? Y'all work for us, not the other way around. And we said we want Uncle Trump. And y'all trying to tell us that we're stupid and you say no? No, we say yes. Why are you fighting us?
I think that we're going to wind up seeing most of it get settled over tone and how to go about doing a lot of the things that mainly because most people sort of agree on everything. On the Democrat side, if I can jump into that, I do think it's also interesting. I do think that Joe Biden is definitely going to run again. I think that despite the fact, all of the failures and the baggage that he's going to have to defend, it's going to be very difficult for him. But he enjoys the same advantage right now as he did 2 years ago, where you do have sort of a splintered Democrat Party in a lot of ways. It was unified a little bit because everybody didn't like Donald Trump, but in the Democrat Party. But the party is very, there are a lot of divisions there, and a guy like Joe Biden sort of bridged all those gaps and sort of avoided the civil war within the Democrat Party. But at some point, they're going to have to deal with those things.
All right, Kevin, I want to play a clip from a Republican candidate, Nikki Haley, and ask you a question on the other side.
There's no shortage of issues, but what I will tell you is Americans want more. They want something different, and they want it now. And we can't do enough to make sure that Joe Biden's last days are ahead of him.
All right, Kevin, I like Governor Haley. We're from the same state. I consider her to be a friend. But on the competency issue that she laid out there, if you have to pass a competency test to run over the age of 75, would you also have to pass a competency test to vote on who gets to serve if you're over the age of 75? I didn't understand that as kind of a lead punch for running for president. So, I mean, if you're not competent to serve over a certain age, are you competent to vote on who gets to serve?
I'm not too keen on the competency test, and I'll tell you why. Because I have a feeling that Democrats are going to find a way to taint it. Like, it's going to be a question of, do you believe, some kind of woke question? And a Republican is going to say no to it. But it's a woke question, so you're supposed to say yes, and they're going to fail the competency test. It's going to be something like that, in my humble opinion. I could totally be wrong, but I feel like I could see that happening. So that is why I am against, any type of test at this point in time. But I could see the argument for a test. I understand why somebody like Nikki Haley says this. I understand why, some Americans, kind of like that idea. But, I'm just looking at the unforeseen, terrible outcomes of that. And I feel like that's one of them. It becoming too woke, and a Republican saying no to a question that, the wokes want you to say yes to, and then that Republican being disqualified because they didn't just go along with it. That's just my humble opinion. What do y'all think?
Yeah, Trey, it's a really good question. I think the former governor was using that, obviously, to make this generational argument. And she came out, punching pretty well in her Charleston announcement just two weeks ago that I think surprised a lot of people on the ground. It was a big crowd. A lot of my friends were there. I split my time between South Carolina, your home state, and here in D.C. And I think she's using this competency test as a way to make that argument, because Donald Trump will be 79 should he be elected in his first year back in office. And obviously, Joe Biden will be 81. And she said it's time for a new generation of leadership. We'll see if that is an effective strategy to take on both men without actually naming Donald Trump, her main opponent right now, and her former boss.
Charlie, we've only got about 30 seconds, but I'm going to ask you a question. Is there any chance in the world we'll have actual real debates? I'm asking a good guy from Virginia, or is it just going to be kind of 45-second nicknames and sound bites? I mean, any chance in the world we get like real debates?
We got real debates before.
No, I think that when you look at the ideas that Republicans
I love Uncle Trump on the debate stage. That stuff is so entertaining.
Are wrestling with right now. They're really wonderful ideas, foundational ideas, and so I do think that lends itself to marvelous, genuine debates, and I'm really looking forward to it. And I know a lot of people are sort of worried about the strife within the Republican Party. I'm not. I think the Republican Party will come out stronger for the serious debates that we're about to see happen.
Thank you, gentlemen. Your civility toward one another. I thank you so much.
Charlie's
for
a
that,
buddy.
for joining
This is
us on
always
the
a great
Sunday
conversation.
So, like I said, I think there's only two true candidates in the Republican Party, and really, at the end of the day, really only one. If we can all make a resounding statement. We want Uncle Trump. I think they have to get behind Uncle Trump. You know, the establishment guys and gals who really don't want Uncle Trump and have made that clear. You saw the poll. You've seen the polls that we've checked out. You've seen the, I vividly remember a video that we checked out from the Daily Caller. Shout out to the Daily Caller, where they were at a Republican convention and, you know, asking folks, who do you prefer, Trump or DeSantis? Guess who won? Trump once again. You know, so like time and time again, I mean, it's just across the board. So in my estimation, it's going to be Trump versus Biden. That's who it's going to be. And right now, there are more people on the Republican side that support Trump than, you know, Democrats on the left that support Biden. You know, I think Biden has like a 60-something% disapproval rate, or, you know, non-preference rating amongst Democrats. Like, they prefer someone else. Now, will they actually still go out and cast the ballot for him because they prefer someone else? Who knows? But I think even if that does happen, I think enough people have left the Democratic Party, and, you know, enough Republicans are tired of the BS and are going to make sure that, you know, we show up and show out and make sure our voices are heard. And, you know, the jig is up. We're kind of onto their games a bit, you know, in terms of their, you know, the Democrat strategies on how they, you know, go about their business on that special day. So I think a lot more Republicans will do the same, will use the same tactics that they use, which technically aren't illegal. They're technically legal. So I don't see why Republicans wouldn't step up their game and use some of the same tactics. Mail-in ballots, you know, where it's legal, and, you know, you can get people to mail it in. Hey, go ahead. You even had somebody like Sonny Hostin, who basically almost admitted to a crime on TV, which was crazy, with her son's mail-in ballots. So I think a lot more people on the Republican side are going to do that, and Republicans are going to pull out the W. I'm getting a lot more confidence in Uncle Trump, you know, really pulling out that W. For a while, I felt like he would pull it off. It was just going to be like a nail biter. But now I feel like he's kind of pulling away with it, especially after, you know, actually showing that he cared about the people of East Palestine. I think that really resonated with folks, as it should. And he actually did something. He just didn't show his face. He actually tried to provide some help and relief for those folks as much as he possibly could. You know, unlike this administration. And I think America at large is seeing how terrible this administration is and how terrible Democrats are. Because, like I said, I monitor social media. That is one of the things that I really try to make sure that, you know, I do just to keep a pulse on, you know, the nation, so to speak, on, you know, what people are saying, what people are thinking. And time again, I'm always shocked in a good way when I read through some of the comments. You know, people are disapproving of you know, Joe sending more money overseas, and oh man, Uncle Trump wouldn't have done that. Uncle Trump would have set them straight. You know, I'm seeing some of these types of comments on leftist accounts. That's why we should have kept Trump in office, man. Hey, bring Trump back. You know, man, black people, we don't deserve Trump, man. He did so much for us, and then we kicked him out. You know, I've seen these comments. So listen, we just got to make sure we show up and show out. But as always, what do y'all think? Who's it going to be in 24? Who versus who? And who pulls out with the W? Be honest. Peace and love. I'm out.